I feel like I knew the character so well, I know what she's going through, I could relate to her so much that it was like a very easy transition for me to kind of relate to her and portray her, because psychosis can be different for everybody. My name is Melina Juergens and I play Senua in Hellblade. I'm Ninja Theory's character performance ninja.
I'm Don Matthews, studio head here at Ninja Theory.
She needs their help with a promise.
Melina, you started life as a video editor.
Yeah, I started at Ninja Theory around 12 years ago. Originally I was their video editor and photographer, and I was doing all the behind the scenes episodes. We did all these dev diaries about how we're making games. Then I also cut their game trailers, and yeah, every now and again, while they were looking for an actress, they asked me if I could be a stand-in. And then after a while, they gave me a little bit of script, like a few lines to say. I was never in front of the camera. My job has always been to be like behind the scenes, filming and things like that. So I was very terrified to perform in front of people and being in front of the lens.
Everything I've seen, everything I've done, has led me to this place.
Yeah, I feel like the role came very naturally to me because I've had my own experiences with psychosis in my early 20s. So I feel like I knew the character so well, I know what she's going through, I could relate to her so much that it was like a very easy transition for me to kind of relate to her and portray her, because psychosis can be different for everybody. So I think it was really important to get a lot of different perspectives from different people so that I can like make the character more complex and not just about what I've experienced.
Do you think that having media like Hellblade would have maybe helped if it had been around at the time?
Yeah, for sure. At the time I was very confused. I didn't really know what was happening. It was a time of pure terror, I would say. Like I was hearing whispers and I could see dead people and things like that. So it was a very scary time, and I think if I had a game at the time like that, I could feel like heard and understood, and it would help me get through that time better. Whereas when I had it, I tried to keep it secret. I hardly told anyone, and unless I went to the doctors or something like that. Obviously I shared it with like medical professionals, but yeah, it was something that I kept very secret, and it's really hard to keep secret because it's a really rough time, you know.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Portraying the character was an outlet for me, like I could use my experiences to do something useful with it. And yeah, it felt like almost therapeutic.
What was kind of the best piece of feedback you heard from a fan or anybody like that on it?
I think one thing that stands out for me was the Accolades trailer that we did. We were using quotes of people that wrote to our office about how they felt about the game, and there were some really lovely quotes in there, such as one person was saying that her brother was always embarrassed about her because she was suffering from psychosis, and after he played the game he said like he could finally understand her and he apologized to her. So things like that are very like heartwarming to hear.
By far the most valuable outcome of the game for us, I think, as a studio, as a team, is to hear players who say that it's helped them to understand their own experiences, helped them to understand the experiences of loved ones, or even to just you know, have a different perception of people in the world around them who might be experiencing a different reality.
Over there, that pool. I can feel them. Feel them everywhere.
In terms of incorporating the psychosis into the gameplay, for someone that's never played it, how would you describe how that translates for the player?
Yeah, so psychosis really is someone experiencing a reality that is not shared by other people, and that can manifest in hearing voices, seeing things that other people don't see, and having unique beliefs about the world. So what we've done is try to translate that experience into the game world. So as players are playing the game, they can hear voices around them in the same way that someone who experiences psychosis might. And something that really struck me and the team was that for people, often when they hear voices, it's not internal chatter, but they're actually hearing a voice as if they're hearing a real person's voice, like you're hearing my voice now. And so that led us down the route of trying to explore how we can represent that in the game and give players that experience.
So were you nervous coming back to the role for the second time, or
Yeah.
did you feel more confident?
Yeah, so the first time round we were shooting everything in a small meeting room in our old office, and the team was really small. We were maybe 4 to 5 people on set, so it was very intimate. Now we've got a giant mocap stage, we've got a big stage team, we've got a stunt crew, we've got other cast members, so it was a lot more eyes on me, and I think, I don't know if I was as terrified as the first time or more, but it was definitely frightening at first, but the cast members and the team on stage, they're so welcoming and friendly, and they always made me feel comfortable, so they gave me a safe space to open up and like relive trauma live on stage, so to speak.
There was a bit more interaction with other characters this time around, right? Was that kind of a new challenge for you as well?
Yeah, before it was just her and the voices, and now the challenge was to still engage with the voices while at the same time engaging with our other characters. So sometimes it's like, you can imagine hard to focus on a conversation with someone when you at the same time have voices going on, you know, so yeah, it was a bit challenging, but I think we've managed to balance it very well.
This feels like just a bigger scale production than the previous game. Has that been a tough road to navigate?
So the opportunity that we've had with Hellblade II is to really focus in on how do we immerse the player in Senua's world and Senua's story. So we've recreated real locations from Iceland, we've crafted real costumes that we've scanned into the game, and as Mel's mentioned, we've really gone to town on our performance capture, so that every movement in the game starts with performance capture.
You want the truth.
So for the first game we didn't have a real life costume, but to achieve new levels of realism for Saga, we've decided to get handmade costumes made, which were actually done by one of my best friends called Jessie Noy. They're all handmade, historically accurate materials and techniques. Sometimes I get to wear this one when we do like costume scans, but it takes a long time to get into this costume. It takes around 8 hours, including hair and makeup.
You can look at the real costume and understand how this hangs over the back, or how this fits underneath the armpit, and what happens when Mel's wearing it, when she stretches up, what happens to the cloth. All of those things you can see in real life to see if it is really acting and moving in that very realistic way.
Yeah, I thought it was really helpful for me to get into costume and then look at myself in the mirror. It was very surreal, actually. It was almost hard to tell if it was me or like the in-game version of Senua. It was very strange, and I put on the costume and I walked around the office a little bit, and I think Dom almost got a heart attack when he saw me.
The weirdest thing, I've known Mel for a long time, and I've known Senua for a long time, but to see Senua suddenly in front of you, because it's the costume and the makeup and the hair is exactly what there is in the game, so it's like the purest version of Senua that you can possibly get. It's like a completely different person that has existed in that video game has suddenly stood in front of you in real life for the first time.
I think it also helped me to kind of get to the character a little bit more attached. Like just looking at myself in costume made me feel even closer to Senua.
Awesome. And next Halloween sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would win.
Gotta get Jess over and Dan and everyone, get me into costume for 8 hours.
We have actually, like, because people do like cosplay competitions, right? And there's a lot of people who dress up as Senua, and we've said maybe we should get Mel to go in the actual costume and see if she'd win.
Who knows?
Touch it.
One of the big things about the original Hellblade was just the impact it had. Have you seen that have a ripple effect around the industry? Do you feel like there's a bit more sensitivity to how people portray mental health conditions now than there might have been when you started making the first Hellblade?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think we can take credit for that, to be honest. I think the world and society has moved on in terms of its understanding of mental health. I think a lot of that was to do with the pandemic, actually, when a lot of people found that mental health was something that impacted them, and they suddenly became aware of it. So I think there is a lot more in the industry of people portraying a number of different topics like mental health, but also what you're seeing now is a really great trend of lived experience finding its way into games, and games being used as a vehicle to tell people stories.
So, obviously, recently there's been a lot of reporting about studio closures at Microsoft, and Ninja Theory was acquired by Microsoft. And how has that affected the mood at the studio, and are you concerned about the future after hearing that news?
For me and for the team, we're super focused on the release of Hellblade 2 on May the 21st. We're super proud of the game that we've created. We're just looking forward to spending that day together and fans getting hold of the game and enjoying what we've made.
Just pulling back a bit and looking at the wider industry, I know there's people making noise about moving towards known franchises, bigger IPs. Do you think there'll still be space for games like Hellblade 2 that have a point of view, that have a message?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm a big proponent of games being an art form, and I think art is incredibly important in the world because it is a vehicle for telling stories, to changing perceptions, a powerful tool in helping people to understand. And I think there's a responsibility actually in the games industry to continue doing that.
Is there an overarching emotion, feeling, or anything that you would want somebody to take away from Hellblade 2?
I mean, for me, like I consider games to be art, and I think the beauty of art is that they're open to interpretation. So, and that's how I feel about Hellblade 2. I think it will mean different things to different people. My hope is that it means something to people, and it does make them think, and it does make them feel something. What that is for people, I would rather that they discover that themselves when they go through the journey.
Yeah, I just think I'm just hoping for the same kind of reaction as the first one, that we managed to get rid of the stigma around mental health, spark conversations around it, and that people just feel seen and heard, and they know that there's like something out there that they can show to people to kind of show them what they're going through, because it's really hard to explain to people what you go through, and I think it's just a really nice like example to show someone, to make them understand.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.